The problem in youth sports today is everyone wants to skip steps, advance their child because they're ready. And sure, maybe they present as physically ready, but mentally, they struggle with listening. Emotionally, they break down if they don't get their way. My point is this: those things matter too. And until we see the whole picture come together in the non-competitive realm, the competitive realm will consider them flawed. Your toddler is non-competitive. That's not a flaw. That's a developmental stage. And it's the stage where the most important athletic qualities are either preserved or destroyed. Hey, I'm Coach Pickles. Welcome back. In the last episode, I asked a question the sports world would never have thought to ask. Where do the waddlers, the toddlers, and the dawdlers fit into sports? And we talked about how those children, your children, are overlooked, misrepresented, and misunderstood. How sports have never been ready for them, how they never have been. But first, I want to tell you about 3 people who changed the way I think about sports. And none of them are athletes. A restaurant guy, a journalist, and Big Bird. Danny Meyer is one of the most successful restaurant owners in the country. He founded Shake Shack. He runs some of the best restaurants in New York. The man knows how to build things that last. He was on Gary Vaynerchuk's podcast a while back, and Gary asked him a simple question. How competitive are you? Now let me bring in the journalist, Leigh Steinberg. If you've seen Jerry Maguire, you've seen a version of this man. Tom Cruise's character was based on him. He's the real Jerry Maguire. And he wrote an article for Forbes back in 2018 asking a really simple question. What defines sport? And then there's Big Bird. This is the one that really gets me. Because Sesame Street did something over 50 years ago that sports still haven't figured out. They looked at preschool-age children and said, these kids learn differently. Here's what the sports world has done. It has treated non-competitive as worthless, as a waiting room, as something to get through on the way to the real stuff. Your toddler is non-competitive. That's not a flaw. That's a developmental stage. They don't learn through lectures. They don't learn through drills. They learn through play, through stories, through characters, through music, through making mistakes in a safe environment. And then they built an entire system around that understanding. And it worked. That's not real sports. That's sports at the beginning. The very beginning. The part we skipped. How competitive are you? Now, Danny didn't just say very competitive and move on. He broke it down. He said there are actually 4 types of people when it comes to competition. There's the non-competitive person someone who just isn't wired for winning and losing. Danny calls them a-competitive. There's the beat another person, the one whose whole thing is defeating someone else. There's the hates to lose person, driven by fear of failure, win at all costs. And then there's the self-competitor, the person whose only goal is to be better today than they were yesterday. Now here's the part that stopped me in my tracks. Gary pushed back. He said non-competitive people aren't even in the game. And Danny said something I'll never forget. You need to have non-competitive to understand competitive. He used his uncle as an example. A simple guy, happy with his paycheck, whose only competition was being a great dad and a great husband. And Danny's point was that man isn't broken. He's essential. Without understanding what non-competitive looks like, you can't actually understand what competitive means. Now, if you're a parent, you might be wondering what a restaurant guy has to do with your 3-year-old's soccer class. Everything. The problem in youth sports today is everyone wants to skip steps, advance their child because they're ready. And sure, maybe they present as physically ready, but mentally they struggle with listening. Emotionally, they break down if they don't get their way. My point is, those things matter too. And until we see the whole picture come together in the non-competitive realm, the competitive realm will consider them flawed. Now, why does what I just said matter for your toddler or preschooler? Because here's what the sports world has done. It has treated non-competitive as worthless, as a waiting room, as something to get through on the way to the real stuff. Remember from last episode, 658 coaches from youth leagues to the pros said the 3 most important qualities for athletic success are coachability, love of the game, and positive attitude. None of those are competitive skills. They're non-competitive qualities that make competition possible later. Danny Meyer would get this immediately. His self-competitor, the one focused on daily growth, not beating somebody, that's your early learner. That's the child who tries something new every day, not because they want to win, but because exploring is what they do. Because it's fun. Because nobody told them they should be afraid to fail yet. The sports world skipped this. They went straight to competition and wondered why 70% of kids quit by 13. Danny Meyer would never open a restaurant without building the kitchen first. But that's exactly what youth sports did. They opened the dining room and forgot the foundation. Now let me bring in the journalist, Leigh Steinberg. If you've seen Jerry Maguire, you've seen a version of this man. Tom Cruise's character was based on him. He's the real Jerry Maguire. Represented over 300 pro athletes, secured over $4 billion in contracts, had the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft 8 separate times. This man knows sports at the highest possible level. And he wrote an article for Forbes back in 2018 asking a really simple question. What defines sport? In his conclusion, he couldn't define it. Not cleanly, not anymore. With esports blowing up, with televised cornhole, with poker tournaments on ESPN, he wrote that a true sport may be the grist for endless arguments, and the only certainty may be in the eye of the beholder. Now, why does that matter for your child? Because if we can't even agree on what a sport is anymore, if the definition itself is evolving, then why are we clinging to a 60-year-old rule that says sports start at age 6? Why are we treating that number like it's carved in stone when everything else about sports is changing? Steinberg opened a door. The definition of sport is expanding. And if it can expand to include esports and cornhole, it can certainly expand to include the non-competitive, play-based, developmentally appropriate experience your 2-year-old is having with a parachute and a pile of pool noodles. That's not real sports. That's sports at the beginning, the very beginning, the part we skipped. And then there's Big Bird. Sesame Street did something over 50 years ago that sports still haven't figured out. They looked at preschool-age children and said, these kids learn differently. They don't learn through lectures. They don't learn through drills. They learn through play, through stories, through characters, through music, through making mistakes in a safe environment. And then they built an entire system around that understanding. And it worked. Sesame Street didn't just entertain kids. Research showed it actually prepared them for school. It built a foundation. Letters, numbers, social skills, emotional regulation. All through a format designed for how young children actually learn. Now think about what exists for your child in education. There's preschool, there's Sesame Street. There's an entire infrastructure designed to meet children where they are before they enter formal schooling. What exists for your child in religion? There's Sunday school. There's a simplified, age-appropriate entry point that respects the child's developmental stage. What exists for your child in sports? Nothing. There is no Sesame Street for sports. There's no formal early learning foundation. Sports science says your child's journey starts at age 6, and everything before that is just playing. Not real, not worth studying, not worth building a system around. Nothing. Meanwhile, millions of children under 6 are in sports programs right now. Your child might be one of them. And the entire academic establishment is saying, we don't have a plan for them. And that's the gap. And it has a name. Early Learning Sports Development. The systematic, non-competitive introduction of sports to children from birth to age 5. It's the foundation that was always missing. The Sesame Street that sports never built. Now, I don't just talk about this. I do it every week. And I want to give you a feel for what this actually looks like when it's working. Think about the word no. By the time your child turns 5, they've heard the word no roughly 50,000 times. 50,000 corrections. 50,000 moments where an adult's first instinct was to stop what a child was doing rather than redirect it. A lot of those no's come from coaches. No, not like that. Stop. You're doing it wrong. Don't run. No. Watch how Sarah does it. Every one of those is what I call a friction point. And friction doesn't just interrupt the moment. It accumulates. It builds resistance. It teaches children that coaching means criticism. And over time, it destroys the very coachability that every coach says they want. So what's the alternative? Instead of, no, don't run, you say, walking feet inside, running feet outside. Instead of, no, that's wrong, you say, let me show you another way. Instead of, you're not listening, you just wait. And when they engage, you respond. You're not lowering your standards. You're converting friction into flow. You're designing the experience so that coaching is associated with growth, not correction. And children who learn in that kind of an environment don't just tolerate being coached. They seek it out. They become more coachable over time, not less. And here's something the research backs up that I want you as parents to understand. Young children naturally enter flow states. That state of complete absorption where you lose track of time and everything clicks far more easily than adults do. It happens during play. It happens during movement. It happens when the activity matches their developmental capacities and nobody's interrupting them with corrections. Now, does that make your toddler a better athlete than a professional? No, of course not. The physical limitations are real, but here's what the research does say. Young children in flow states may represent the optimal conditions for athletic development. Not better performers, better learners, better at becoming athletes. Because when a child is in flow, they're building skills through exploration, developing positive associations with physical challenge, and maintaining the intrinsic motivation that keeps them coming back. Traditional sports coaching disrupts that flow. Bubbles, parachutes, pool noodles, characters, stories, humor. Those preserve it. That's not a gimmick. That's a flow science applied to how young children actually learn. That's how you build a foundation. That's Sesame Street for sports in action. You meet children where they are. You work with them. You work with how they learn, not against it. And you preserve those three qualities: coachability, love of the game, positive attitude, instead of accidentally destroying them before competition ever begins. So, Danny Meyer taught me that non-competitive isn't the absence of competition. It's the prerequisite for it. Leigh Steinberg showed me that the definition of sport itself is expanding. And there's no reason it can't expand to include where your child is right now. And Big Bird showed me that the most effective learning happens when you meet people where they are, not where you think they should be. Three people who have nothing to do with each other, all pointing to the same truth. Sports have a beginning, and we've been ignoring it. Now, here's what I haven't told you yet. There's a reason sports have no Sesame Street. There's a reason this foundation was never built. And it's because nobody tried. It's because the institutions that should have been building it, the universities, the research labs, the sports science departments, they structurally cannot study this population as a sports population. They don't have the tools. They don't have the frameworks. They don't have the departmental hoe. That's the next episode. Why academia can't study early learning sports development and what that means for your child.
Your child is not ready. Sports are not ready for your child. And there's a difference. The waddlers, the toddlers, and the dawdlers, they're not the problem. They never were. They are the beginning. They are the origin story that sports never knew it had. In this channel, this is where I'm going to show you what that looks like. From the gym floor, from 20 years of doing this work, from someone who has spent more time teaching sports to children under 5 than probably anyone you'll ever meet. Not theory, practice. The real stuff. I'm Coach Pickles. Thank you for listening. Subscribe if this hits home, and I'll see you in the next one.